into the deepest recesses of hell, and it's disgusting that the media hasn't covered it like they should.
It's an 8-armed octopus, and if you take just trafficking out, that arm will grow back. You have to take the head.
Wow.
Epstein Island isn't the only island out there where everybody's talking, and they all cried out Epstein Island. And I went, oh, okay, now I understand what we're up against.
That voice, it wasn't shaking. That's what made it unsettling. When Jim Caviezel started speaking again, really speaking, not acting, not performing, but warning, people felt it. Not because it was loud, not because it was dramatic, but because it sounded like a man who had already seen the consequences and kept going anyway. And then something unexpected happened. Mel Gibson stepped in. Not publicly at first, not on a stage, not in front of cameras.
I'd like to work again, but I'd never been a guy who would sell his soul to get, money or fame. Was never my goal.
But behind the scenes, in conversations that weren't meant to be heard, he told Caviezel something that changed the entire tone of this story. Be careful. Because according to insiders, this wasn't just about exposing dark truths anymore. This was about names. And when one of those names reportedly connected to Oprah Winfrey started circulating alongside whispers tied to Jeffrey Epstein, everything shifted. Because now it wasn't just dangerous, it was explosive.
It's an 8-armed octopus, and if you take just trafficking out, that arm will grow back. You have to take the head. And we're talking grooming. We're talking about because procures more, and then it's a non-stop cycle. So this is a culture that has to be reawakened.
And what nobody expected was how quickly things began to unravel after that. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to go back to the beginning of Jim Caviezel's journey. Most people remember him as the man who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, a role so powerful, so emotionally intense, that it didn't just change his career, it defined him.
What is your message to mommy?
I did have affairs, but I saw and did nothing illicit. Bill Gates revealed to his charity, the Gates Foundation.
But what many don't realize is what came after. Because that film didn't open doors for Caviezel the way people expected. It didn't turn him into a Hollywood golden boy. It did the opposite. It isolated him. While other actors moved into bigger franchises, more visibility, and safer roles, Caviezel went quiet. Not because he disappeared, but because he chose a different path. He started listening to stories that most people didn't want to hear. Stories about trafficking, about abuse, about systems that didn't just exist in shadows, but were protected by power.
It would seem we are in this together and will have to rise above it. He then signs off. Otherwise, keep in close touch and we'll play some more soon.
And over time, those stories changed him. They stopped being distant problems. They became personal missions. That's what led him to Sound of Freedom, a film that, on the surface, looked like just another thriller, but underneath carried something heavier, a message, a warning. And when that film exploded at the box office, outperforming major studio projects with 10 times the budget, it wasn't just a success story, it was a disruption.
Because of what has happened, I don't think it is appropriate that we should remain in contact. And by mutual agreement during that walk in the park, we decided that we would part company, and I left, I think it was the next day. And to this day, I never had any contact with him from that day.
Because suddenly, Caviezel had a platform again, and this time, he wasn't going to stay quiet. At first, it seemed like he was just promoting a movie, interviews, podcasts, appearances. But if you listened closely, something felt different.
He wasn't just talking about the film, he was talking about what inspired it. And then he started going deeper. He began
I don't remember anything about it. No recollection of it, but it could have happened.
describing trafficking networks not as isolated crimes, but as something organized, something structured, something that didn't just exist on the edges of society, but was protected by power. That's when people started paying attention.
Secretary Howard Lutnick, Epstein's former neighbor, recounting his alleged experience with the deceased billionaire to the New York Post.
Way back when, they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence.
Lutnick describing Epstein as gross.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. And he says, and the right kind of massage.
But here's the twist. Caviezel didn't stop there. He started hinting at connections, at names, at people who, according to him, existed within these circles, but were never questioned publicly. And one of those names, allegedly, was Oprah Winfrey. Now, let's be clear. This is where things became controversial, because Oprah wasn't just any public figure. She was untouchable.
A global icon, a symbol of success, influence, and trust. Someone who had built an empire on connection and credibility. So when her name even appeared in conversations tied to Epstein, it didn't just raise eyebrows, it triggered something bigger, because people weren't ready for that.
And they've done everything they could to stop it, as they did this with the Passion of the Christ.
And according to reports, that's when Mel Gibson reached out. Mel Gibson had been through this before. He knew what it felt like to stand outside the system, to be pushed out, criticized, labeled, and shut down. He understood how quickly public perception could turn and how dangerous it could become when powerful narratives started forming behind closed doors. So when he saw Caviezel stepping into that same storm, he didn't celebrate it. He warned him, not dramatically, not emotionally, just directly. Be careful who you're talking about.
It's an 8-armed octopus. And if you take just tracking out, that arm will grow back. You have to take the head. And we're talking grooming. We're talking about, because procures more, and then it's a non-stop cycle. So this is a culture that has to be reawakened.
Because Gibson knew something Caviezel was just beginning to experience. There are levels to this. It's one thing to talk about problems. It's another thing to point at systems. But when you start connecting those systems to people with massive influence, that's when the ground starts shifting beneath you. And almost immediately, things began to change. Interviews that once felt open suddenly became tense. Questions became sharper. Narratives started forming online, some supporting Caviezel, others attacking him, calling him unreliable, unstable, or worse. It wasn't loud at first. It was subtle, but it was consistent, because that's how these things work. You don't always silence someone directly. Sometimes you just make people stop listening. And slowly, that's what started happening. Clips were taken out of context, headlines became more aggressive, conversations shifted from what he was saying to whether he should be saying it at all. And in the middle of all that, Caviezel crept going. That's what made this situation different. He didn't step back. He didn't soften his message. If anything, he leaned into it even more, which only made the pressure stronger.
When the public wakes up to this whole thing and sees films like this, people won't be able to walk down the street ever again.
Behind the scenes, sources claimed there were conversations happening, meetings, calls, warnings. Not all of them confirmed, not all of them public, but enough to paint a picture. A picture of a man being told again and again, "You're getting too close." And yet, he kept speaking, because for Caviezel, this wasn't about fame anymore. It wasn't about career moves or public image. It was about something deeper, something he believed was bigger than the consequences. And that belief came at a cost. Professionally, things started tightening. Opportunities became limited. Projects slowed down. People who once stood beside him began creating distance, not aggressively, quietly, because in industries built on relationships, sometimes silence says more than confrontation ever could. And personally, the weight grew heavier, because when you step into a space like this, it's not just your career on the line. It's your peace, your safety, your relationships, everything. And yet, Caviezel didn't walk away. What makes this story so intense isn't just what was said, it's what happened after. Because once certain lines are crossed, there's no going back to normal. There's no reset button. You either step fully into it or you disappear from it completely. And Caviezel made his choice. He stayed, even as the noise grew louder, even as the pressure increased, even as people around him started questioning whether it was worth it. Because in his mind, it wasn't about being right, it was about being heard. But here's where it gets emotional, because beyond the headlines, beyond the theories, beyond the controversy, there's a human side to this story. A man who took on a role that changed his life, and then spent years trying to make sense of what that role meant for his purpose. A man who listened to stories that most people would turn away from, and decided he couldn't ignore them. A man who stepped into a spotlight again, not to entertain, but to expose what he believed needed to be seen. And in doing that, he lost things: opportunities, connections, stability. But what he gained was something harder to measure: conviction, the kind that doesn't disappear under pressure, the kind that doesn't fade when things get uncomfortable, the kind that keeps you speaking even when you know the consequences.
And Mel Gibson? He didn't step away. He didn't publicly attack or distance himself. But his warning still lingers over this entire story. Because it wasn't just advice, it was experience. The kind that comes from knowing how quickly things can turn and how hard it is to come back once they do. So now we're left with a question. Not just about Caviezel, not just about the names mentioned, but about the bigger picture. What happens when someone steps outside the boundaries of what's considered safe to talk about? What happens when influence, power, and truth start colliding in ways that people aren't ready to process? And maybe the most important question of all, what happens next? Because this story, it's not finished, not even close. There are still layers that haven't been uncovered, still conversations happening behind closed doors, still reactions unfolding in real time. And whether you believe everything being said or question all of it, one thing is clear: this isn't just about one man anymore. It's about a system, a narrative, a line that once crossed changes everything. So if you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Do you think Jim Caviezel is telling the truth or stepping into something bigger than he realizes? And do you think warnings like Mel Gibson's come from fear or from understanding exactly how far this goes? And maybe that's the part that really stays with you. Not the headlines, not the rumors, not even the names being thrown around, but the silence in between. Because when everything starts getting louder, when opinions, accusations, and narratives begin crashing into each other, there's always a moment where you have to stop and ask yourself, what's actually true? And more importantly, who's willing to stand on it? Jim Caviezel made his choice. Whether people agree with him or not, whether they support him or doubt him, he stepped into something most people wouldn't even touch. He spoke when it would have been easier to stay quiet. And now he's living with the consequences of that decision every single day. But here's the thing. History has a strange way of revealing the truth over time. Sometimes the people who are questioned the most in the moment end up being understood later. And sometimes the stories we dismiss too quickly turn out to be bigger than we ever imagined. Or maybe not. Maybe this is all just noise, speculation, and confusion wrapped up into one.
But that's what makes it so powerful, because it forces you to think, to question, to look deeper instead of just accepting what's placed in front of you. And in a world where information is controlled, shaped, and sometimes even hidden, that ability to think for yourself is everything. So where does this story go from here? Honestly, nobody knows. Maybe more details will come out. Maybe things will fade away like so many stories before it. Or maybe this is just the beginning of something much bigger that hasn't fully surfaced yet. But one thing is certain. People are watching, people are asking questions, and conversations like this aren't going away anytime soon. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think is really going on here? Do you believe Jim Caviezel is exposing something real? Or do you think this situation is being misunderstood and taken too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all, and I want to know where you stand. And if you made it this far, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps push this video out so more people can join the conversation. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because we're just getting started, and the next story might be even more shocking than this one. Stay curious, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next video.